All right, everyone, now that we've wrapped up our reading with the textures, now we're going to break up into small groups. So I want you guys to get into groups of about 4 to 5. And I want you to discuss with each other your findings with the reading, any important key points that perhaps your partners in your group didn't get. I want you to share them so that you can all jot them down within your notes, okay? All right, guys, thank you so much for doing such a wonderful job with your small group discussions. I heard a lot of great things. So I want everyone to kind of gather your thoughts. We're going to gather around and have our class discussion now about what you found in your readings. And what I want to do is I want to hear from you guys what you found. I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint. I'm going to type on the screen so everyone can see everyone's ideas. Perhaps some other groups did not get the same things that this group over here got. So what I want to do is I want to type them all up so you all can see and jot down things that perhaps you missed. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up this PowerPoint right now. All right. So we read on textures. All right. So what have we learned, right? Okay. Now I want you guys to tell me what were the kinds of textures that we read about in the text. Actual textures. Yes, that was one of them. And can you tell me a little bit of a definition of what an actual texture is? They occur in real objects. Okay. And you can touch them. Perfect. So actual textures. Anyone else have another one for me? Simulated textures. Yes, that is another one. What's the bit of a definition for that one, please? Can be seen. No feeling. When touched. Perfect. It's a great summary. And I think there was one more. What's the last one that we read about in that text? Invented textures. All right, and then what? Tell me a little bit what the invented textures are. Okay, they're like the simulated. Not intended to what? To resemble real life textures. Oops, typo. There we go. All right, so we have actual textures. These were the kind that occur in real objects. You can touch them. We can feel them with our hands. We then have simulated textures. Those are the ones that you can see sort of like on a painting, but there's no feeling when you touch them. It's still a smooth surface, but when you look at it, it looks like there's a texture there. And we also have invented textures. These are the ones that are kind of like the simulated ones, but they're intended more to resemble, they're not intended to resemble real life textures. That's why they're called invented ones, because an artist will just kind of make up their own texture. All right. So what I want to do now is kind of go over a few of the things that we noticed with the reading. So if you guys will turn to page 154, I want you to take a look at the artwork that is on that page. You know, we're looking at a photograph, and this is Dorothea Lange's photograph. It's called Migrant Mother. And what I want you to notice is that in the photograph, we know that a photograph, that when you touch it, it's a smooth surface. So this is a perfect example of simulated textures. You know, we can look at the picture knowing in our heads that when you touch it, there's nothing there to feel. But when you look at it, the lines of the face on the mother. You can see it on her foreheads, on between her eyebrows. Then we see her hair. We see their children's hair that when you look at it, it's very textured, very messy, and also the material of their clothes. So when you look at them, you can imagine what it would feel like if you were to run through your hand through their hair, if you were to touch their clothes. These are perfect examples of simulated textures. You can't touch them, but you can see them visually. Now, turn to page 156, I believe, the page with the painting of the oysters. Yes, so that painting is titled, ironically, Oysters. It is a Manet, and in this painting specifically, both actual and simulated textures play a role. You know, the textures of the oysters along with the lemons and are kind of perhaps realistic enough when we look at them to make us kind of hungry and want to eat them. The textures of the thick strokes of paint used to create the oysters are very visible. So when you see this painting in real life, if you look at it at an angle, you can tell that there are thick strokes of paint. So he used oil paint. And I know we haven't used oil paint in this class, but oil paint is very heavy body. So when you slather it on the canvas, it sticks out where you can run your hand over it once it's dry and feel the texture. This painting kind of gives us, you know, the best of both worlds. It's, you know, simulated and actual textures. So it appeals not only to our senses of sight and touch, but also our ability to imagine the taste of food. I want you guys to also flip one more time, page 157. We're going to look at one more, and this is going to fall more along the lines of what we are doing in this class with our sculptures. So in this piece, there's no simulated, no, you know, trick textures in the Lele people's mask from the Republic of Congo. This is what we're looking at. Now, it's all real textures. You know, the things that you can touch, which in this case, when you look at the piece, you can kind of see it has wood, there's copper, iron, plant fibers, cotton, and wool amongst a whole bunch of different things. So in addition to the textural variety in this piece, the Lele artist has enlivened the mask with concentric lines around the eyes and a combination of cowrie shells and colorful beads across the hairline. When you look at the mask, you want to go up, you want to touch it, you want to feel it, because there's so much going on that it just invites you in to grab it, feel it with your hands. And this is what I want you guys to keep in mind when you're doing your sculptures. We're doing actual textures. We want to add that texture to the surface so that when we hold on to your sculptures, we can feel the textures there. All right? Okay, guys, let's keep going.